Retail sales figures have been revealed this morning, showing that the UK had a lower than expected Christmas period spending, as retail sales volumes fell by 1%.
Well, sales figures in December remained at 1.7% below pre-coronavirus levels, as the Office for National Statistics showed sales volumes fell by 3% between 2021 and 2022. All these numbers get very confusing, but the figures are down, basically.
And with us this morning is author and founder of the Retail Champion, Clare Bailey. Good morning to you, Claire. So these figures just broken in the last few minutes. Let's start with this top one here. Retail sales volumes estimated to have fallen by 1% in December. December obviously being the month for most people's Christmas shopping. Is this the sign that the cost of living crisis is beginning to bite and impact on our spending?
It's partly a consequence of the cost of living, absolutely. But the fact that the sales figures in the previous month, for instance, were not as down as we might have expected, we have seen that people pulled forward some of their Christmas spending where they possibly could. So what does that mean? It means that Black Friday took away from December, but also the supermarkets running large-scale promotions on more of the non-perishable food items, encouraging people to spread their spending across 2 paychecks instead of just one. So typically, November is modest and December really peaks. However, what we have seen is that sales value in a lot of retailers was quite a long way up. So sales volume is the amount of stuff, and high value and low volume is a consequence of the inflation. So it is evidence that people are trying to rein in their spending. But in fact, the actual spending was higher. It's just that people got less for their money.
Yeah, which is, as Liam Halligan says, it's when you look under the bonnet of these figures that you see what it really means, which is something you could say about online sales. Proportion of online sales, we're being told, fell to 25.4 from 25.9 in November. But there is some evidence to say, well, perhaps that's been driven by the Royal Mail strike. So that means it's not that people haven't been spending it. They've been spending it on the high street instead of online.
In part, but total spending's down. What actually the fact about the online is that in January of 2020, online as a proportion of all retail was only 18.6%. And then by April, it shot up to over 30% because we went into lockdown. What we're seeing now is online going back more to where you might expect it to be. However, the result of the pandemic is people changed their shopping behaviours and became more dependent online. So 25% is still actually better than it has been for quite a number of years before. And I would suggest that, yes, people have gone back to the high street. Yes, uncertainty around delivery because of all the strikes was a contributing factor. But nonetheless, it has dropped back in the last 3 years.
We haven't had that bounce back, have we, from the pandemic that so many people suggested we might. Sales volumes down 1.7% below their pre-coronavirus levels.
Yeah, I think that's the consequence, though, of the inflationary pressures, the cost of living and people's general state of confidence. So pre-pandemic, things weren't glorious, but they were a whole lot better than they are now. And we also saw a number of post-pandemic actions where people spent less in stores because they were finally allowed to go out to hospitality and leisure. So they were spending more in restaurants and bars. That's flipped around again this year, where people have said to themselves, I'd rather spend in the supermarkets, buy some nice food and drinks and have a party at home or in the office rather than spend on hospitality.